Hello and welcome to a special hijacked episode of the Conover. Anthony decided to go out of town for a little while, so while he was gone, I did something without his permission. I found someone to talk to about a couple of conventions that nobody at MSP managed to find time to visit due to our busy schedules and, broke nature. I am Jeremy, and with me today I have a guest in the form of Macy Cosplay. Should I just call you Macy for short?
Yeah, just call me Macy.
Okay, that works. How are you doing this evening?
I'm pretty good, Tired, but good. School and cosplay. Well, not really cosplay, but, stuff.
Oh, it's all cosplay. We get to cosplay as happy people during the day. Then we go home and strip all that off and just kind of look at the pajama pants and go, where'd it go with my day?
Right? Seriously. Well, I was talking to my friend today, and I was like, I really don't care what I look like unless I'm in cosplay, because that's my life.
Yeah, no, it drives my wife insane because every time I go for a major purchase, I find my pair of jeans that has like holes in the crotch. I find an old shirt that's faded. Why do you always do that? Because it gets me at least $300 off whatever I'm going to buy. Shush.
Well, see, it's the opposite with me. I have to get the good stuff to make me get discounts. Go to the fabric district, you have to wear like the tightest stuff, and then they give you the $2 fabric, the $1 fabric. That's supposed to be like $10 a yard.
That would probably work for me as well. If I wore something bare midriff, they'd probably give me something cheap. Just say, get him out of my store. Just give him whatever the fuck he wants. Get him gone.
Yeah, I'll introduce you to Anthony next time we go. Not your Anthony, my
right. I figured as much. Actually, last time I saw you was at Fanime, and one of the best stories I tell people nowadays is how we got you into your room.
That was fantastic. I was gonna punch someone. I was so tired.
It was such an odd way to go about it too, because Macy arrived at 2 a.m. on day one. The rest, just about everybody.
Thank you very much.
Just about everybody else was already not just in their rooms but asleep, and all of a sudden, God, the phones at the Marriott in San Jose are ungodly loud, and the phone rings a couple times. I roll out of bed, I pick it up so it won't interrupt anybody else, and I see, hello? Yes, Mr. Wilson, this is Rebecca downstairs at the front desk. So? Just, yes, Macy is here, and we sent her up to your room. What? She said she knocked a couple times, but nobody answered, so we're calling to let you know that she's outside your room. Why? Well, she said she was in your room, and your room is already full, so we thought we'd send her up so you could sort this out. She has her own room. And that's the part that nobody seems to understand. She was on the registry of a room. She had her own place to sleep, her own bed. For some reason, they sent her up to me.
They didn't have my name down at the front desk, so I was like, just Jeremy?
It was so ridiculous. So they just said, yes, we couldn't understand what was going on, so we sent her up to see you. And there was this pregnant pause, and I remember standing there in the dark going, I'm going outside. I'm going to say hello to her, and you will hear from me shortly. Click.
I thought you were gonna, kill someone. You looked so mad.
I was upset because this was such a simple thing that should have been handled. Not even that they woke me up. It was just ultimate stupid. So I open the door, stick my head out. There's Macy sitting next to the door just going, hi, sorry to interrupt. Just like, yeah, we're going to fix this now.
All my stuff's just, piled next to me. And I'm just like, hey, Jeremy.
Yeah, and I'm speaking in this low monotone. We're going to go fix this right now.
Yeah, that was pretty fantastic, because after driving 7.5 hours, that's exactly what you want to do.
I know, and I could see that half-tired grin on your face as you watch this person half asleep, huge dark circles under the eyes, and Captain America pajama pants.
Yes.
Not
were they Avengers or were they Captain America? I thought they were.
They were Captain America. You were just getting ready to laugh because I didn't threaten the lady, but every motion I made said I was about to kill somebody.
Yeah. That was fantastic. And then, of course, when I get to my room, Anthony answers the door, and he's like, hi, I'm premature registration. And I lost it. And then he was like, well, everyone's in the beds. I don't know what's going on. You can sleep in my bed or something like that. I was so tired. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, that's 4 a.m. Of course everybody's in the beds. I get back to my room, and of course I leave the lights off, so I'm stumbling in the dark, and as soon as I lay down, I hear from one of the adjacent beds, so did anybody die?
Yeah, that was that was a weird con. I feel like next year I'll probably have more fun because I didn't know what to expect and I didn't really have any friends there. But yeah, next year I'm definitely going to bring at least one friend.
Yeah. Yeah, cons are always better in groups. I'm still trying to find somebody to go with me to Long Beach Comic Con. My partner for that one had to back out. She had this whole problem with moving to the Bay Area. All right, so instead of beating around the bush, we will talk about the two things that Macy has done that I have not so far, and that is D23 and Anime California. We'll go chronologically, especially since D23 is the harder thing to get into by leagues. I did not make it to this because I was not invited in any format, and to get me through the door would have cost about $200.
Yeah, that was pretty expensive. I paid for my mom and my ticket, plus my dad's.
Wow.
So
you're a giving person.
Yeah, well, that's like the one thing. My mom's Jehovah's Witness, so I don't really buy her anything. Like, I don't buy her Mother's Day presents. I don't buy her Christmas presents, birthday presents. So it was kind of just like a mother appreciation present I got for her. And I paid for all the costumes, too. So it was like a big, like, this is the one thing I'll get for you for the year because I appreciate you and I know we both love Disney and it's something we bond over kind of thing.
Oh, that's adorable.
Yeah, it was her first convention besides the Jehovah's Witness convention that they hold twice a year. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, she goes to those all the time. And it was my dad's first convention. And he only went Saturday, though, so it wasn't too bad.
Okay, are both your folks Disney fans?
My dad, not so much. My mom is. She's a huge fan. We have premium passes, so we go to Disneyland all the time. Which I was really stoked because inside we got discounts, like, with our passes.
Really?
Yeah.
So they've connected everything.
Yeah, so it was cool. It was definitely super cool.
Did you spend the whole weekend at the D23, or did you take a day and go to Disney as well?
We went to Disney afterwards. So we'd go grab dinner. We grabbed dinner Friday and Saturday. So it was cool.
All right. Awesome. Now, what is it like when you actually get to the Anaheim Convention Center with everything going on? I've been there for Anime Expos, WonderCons, Comic-Cons. I've never been there for anything like D23.
Okay, so the first day, the registration lines were ridiculous. They were 2 hours wait at least.
Oh. If
you didn't have a buddy in line already. And then luckily my friend David was with me on Friday, and so we kind of hopped in line with his friends, like me and my mom and him. Mm-hmm. And they had already been waiting in line for like an hour and a half. And we ended up waiting in line for another hour at least.
Damn.
So, yeah, it was crazy.
Do they process you? Do they process you outside, or are you guys waiting in a line outside to be brought inside? Where do they do this at?
It was, well, they had sent out like the badge part, like the paper badge that said your name on it ahead of time. And so they just scanned that at the door. So you basically waited in line to get in the door, and then you went and picked up your little holder thing for it.
Okay, and they had that in the lobby or Hall A, or where was this?
It was in the lobby. It was just like walking around, and then they just kept giving out a whole bunch of them, and it was really weird because there was no line to get the badge holders because at first people didn't know that they were there. Like, it was like, okay, we're gonna scan your badge and you have to hold it the whole day, but like no one said that there was gonna be a badge holder for it, and then you just walked up to the info desk to ask a question, and then they're like, here, take this. I'm like, all right.
Did you know about it? Did you know about it right away, or did you find out later there were actual badge holders?
We had walked past it, and they were on like turnstiles on the ground too. So we were like, okay, like I think these are for us. Huh. And we wanted a program as well, so we went up to the info desk to get a program. And they're like, oh, here, take these. It's like, all right.
I've seen you at enough conventions. I wouldn't be surprised if as soon as you came inside, you're like, there's nothing to hold. I smell vinyl. They're this way.
Pretty much, yeah. I just bought my first, like, super cute anime figure at Anime California, so, yeah, I'm pretty stoked.
Now, do they have a lot of different panel options at the convention, or is it primarily just dealer's hall and then, main presentation stuff?
For D23, there wasn't actually a dealer's hall. It was called the exhibition floor.
Okay.
And it was all Disney-sponsored things, except for the back, where there was a little dealer area that had like maybe 20 booths in it that weren't Disney affiliated.
Okay, and I imagine the exhibit floor, it had to be on the lower level where all the halls are. How many of those did they take up? 1, 2, 3, all of them?
They took all of them. Yeah, they
Okay.
definitely took all of them, and it was cool because they brought in the Disney archives. They brought in old parts of rides and attractions that they had. They
Hmm.
had like 4 or 5 different stores, and the actual Disney store took like 5 hours to get into. It was just a mess.
Jeez.
Yeah, like if you look online, like I didn't even want to brave it. It was like 5 hours to get into it. No one knew what was in stock. No one knew what ran out of stock. They didn't know like the exclusives. Like all the workers there didn't know anything that was going on with it. So people were waiting like 5 hours in line for something that they didn't know that was going to be in there.
So Disney didn't actually use social media like a lot of vendors will at other cons, and they
Uh,
probably had that attitude of if it has mouse here, somebody's gonna buy it. Who
yeah,
cares?
kind of. Well, they did use social media. They just didn't update it very often
Hmm.
or give out very much information. But there were other Disney stores like Mickey's of Glendale, which is like a kind of independent thing. It was more for Imagineers and stuff, like people that are into that stuff.
Okay.
That was an hour and 45-minute wait, but I heard that was I didn't wait in the line, but that was I heard better of a store and it had more for the actual wait
Huh.
compared to the other Disney store. And then the Disney Dream store, which had like the pins and stuff, the collectible D23 merch.
Hmm.
Um, you could just walk in most of the time.
Okay, that doesn't sound too terrible.
Yeah.
Did they have any exclusives during the con, or was it just a lot of the same stuff you would find in Disney stores across California?
Well, obviously the D23 branded merchandise, they had these giant like castle hats that I saw some people walking around with, and that was fun. But
I'm not sure if that's where I want to put my head. What
yeah,
part of the
in a
castle are you wearing? I think it's the toilet.
it's your porcelain throne. There you go.
Oh,
But yeah,
imagery.
actually I have my pins that I got laying on my side table. I can show you actually. So I
Yeah.
got I got a couple of these D23 ones
Hmm.
that have Walt Disney on it, and it says D23 Expo 2015.
Oh,
I got
nice.
one for me, one for my friend, and then my mom picked up one. And then I got the this one's like my favorite. It's the BB-8 little droid.
Oh, there are people that would fight you for that at this moment.
I know. I ended up with 3. I don't know how. And I think that's... Oh, and then... No, this is from the other day. I picked up a Star Wars half marathon pin from the club, or the Company D store.
Yeah,
Those weird
that's
ones.
awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so there were a few rare items to be had. It wasn't just go and be a
No.
Disney file.
Yeah, it was weird because in the Dream Store too, they had signings. So when there
Huh.
was a signing, the line would obviously get longer. But most of the time it was just walk on in. And then a lot of the attractions were like really long waits, so it was hard to actually like do this stuff. But if you wanted to wait, you were more than welcome to. I had my mom, so it was her first con, so she didn't want to wait in line for
Yeah.
anything. So she just wanted to walk around. We had a great time. She was so excited because people were stopping us for photos because it was like we did paired cosplays.
Hmm.
So the first day I was Rapunzel and she was the Queen of Corona, Rapunzel's actual mom.
Yeah.
And then the second day was our huge day with my dad, me, and her, and we did Queen Eleanor, King Fargus, and Merida.
Oh,
And
okay.
that was crazy. My dad's like, I think I've had more pictures taken today than in my whole life. And that's it. He was such a good sport because he was like, I don't want to wear a costume. I don't want to wear a wig. And he slowly was like, okay, I'll do this. And it was fun. It was definitely super fun.
Oh, you chipped down at him over time. I hear this.
No, it was my mom. It wasn't even me. I was like, all right, like, you can be with us. You can carry our stuff.
You use married guilt.
No, my parents aren't married.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they actually were divorced, and now they're getting back together. She's moving in this weekend.
Okay, I had to just shove my foot so far down my mouth I taste my knee. Okay.
It's fine. I mean, they love each other. They're back together. We're a happy family again. It's just a little weird, but
Yeah.
no, whatever works.
I hear you. Speaking of cosplay, was cosplay relatively heavy at D23? Was it lighter? Where would you put it on the scale?
It was weird. to be honest, D23 wasn't very packed. Like,
No?
no. Like, I was expecting, like, WonderCon status, where it's
Mhm.
hard to move around on the exhibit hall floor. But it was spacious. I think the only day where it really got super packed was in the mornings, like, of each day opening, because people would grab their collectibles and then buy everything, then leave.
So they came in and then just did what? Did they hang around the area like they do at WonderCon? Did they just...
No, there was no one out by the fountain, really. There was the typical people taking pictures in the bushes off to the side, but nothing crazy like WonderCon where there's people everywhere.
It's starting to sound like this is more of a trade show than a fan convention.
Yeah, I feel like that's what it probably was more for like the Disney people that are hardcore Disney fanatics, but really not cosplay. Like, it was cosplay friendly, but it had to be, like, even Disney had a sign, like, your cosplay has to be, like, well, I forgot how they worded it, but, like,
Probably
tasteful. That's what it was.
Yeah, I would bet money it's the same rules they run during their Mickey's Halloween treat. You know, nothing simulating violence, no blood, nothing that would freak anybody out, no masks, things
No
like
sexy.
that. Well, everything I do is sexy, but that's a whole different conversation.
The funny thing is, one of my friends actually wrote me, like a week or two before the con, and they're like, well, you better not wear anything sexy to this con. They're going to kick you off right when they see you. I was like, okay. I was like, I don't know whether to be offended or what. Like,
that's when you write your friends back, oh, God, am I sexy that often? Awesome.
Right? I just ooze it, I guess.
Well,
I was like, I really hope I can't make Merida too sexy.
Well, how was D23 run? I mean, with so many fewer people, you'd think it'd be easier to run a quality convention. Did they do well with their staffers? Were they organized?
Yeah, I mean, they were super organized. You had to check your badge a lot. Like, you would get in, you had to check it in when you went into the building, and then you had to check it in once you got out of the lobby, and then you had to check it in once you got to the hall doors.
Huh.
So before you even got into the hall, it was checked 3 times for your badge.
every time is like a TSA experience. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was really weird because I'd had, like, cosplays that would be buried, and then I'd have to keep it out, and then I'd be stopped for pictures, then I'd have to hide it, and then I was like, too many times I'm twisting. Like,
it almost like D23 sounds like one of those places where you need a badge wallet, you know, just something you can fold up, put in your pocket, and every time you need to flash it, you just open it up, and bam, there it is.
Pretty much. Luckily, like, every day I had a handler, though. Or I built a huge pouch into my dad's costume that me and my mom were using the whole day.
Above his kilt, I assume.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was it was a cod piece that I had made a pouch. It was pretty amazing. So I felt weird, like, going into it, so I would always hand my dad, like, my phone or my wallet, like, your dad takes me, put this in there. My mom was just, like, going in there willy-nilly. I was like, all right, this is not awkward, I guess.
That's one of those cases where you almost want to walk up to a table and buy something just so your mom can reach in the pouch and say, hang on, I'm looking for change.
Right? Seriously, just dig around in it. But my dad had shorts on, too, underneath, so if it got too heavy, he would, like, lift up his kilt and put them in the pockets. Which was even weirder when people would, like, see him, like, lift up his kilt, and they'd be horrified at first, and they'd realize he had something on him.
Of course. That's a moment where anybody young and old is going, whoa! Oh, thank God.
Yeah. He was rocking the jorts.
What about panels? Did they have a lot of panels, or was it just the primary presentations we kept hearing about over the weekend?
Okay, so it was really weird. The main, like, primary presentations and the just the main panels were inside the exhibit hall on the main stage.
You mean including, like, the big the premiere, like, movie panel they had on Saturday? All that was inside there?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that it was down there. That, like, up on the upper floors were the lesser panels, which I thought was really weird. It was really weird that they renamed all the hall names.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like D23, and then because the exhibit hall was called Hall 23.
Yeah.
So everything above it was named after that, like Hall 24, 25, 26. It was really weird.
Oh, God, that'd be frustrating.
Yeah, no, like, you were trying to find Hall 28, and you're like, where the heck is this thing? Like,
holy cow. When they were holding panels and large presentations, did a lot of the room, did a lot of the general space empty out, or did did it seem the same in general?
I mean, definitely with the bigger, the movie panels weren't in the main hall, I remember, because it was packed. And you could, like, not, they were having trouble, like, keeping it in the little area that they had marked off for it. So it was super weird. Yeah.
I'm almost amazed to hear you describe it like that, because the quality of their marquee presentation on Saturday, that was Comic-Con worthy by all accounts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you would think they would push so that more people would come to see it. The Rollin' 20s, the show I normally do, we thought that was a savvy move on Disney's part, because honestly, taking things like Captain America Civil War and some of their Marvel projects and showing it off at Comic-Con, that's shooting fish in a barrel.
Yeah.
You know, showing it off at D23, you're showing it off to a bunch of people that generally might not be interested, but if they have time, maybe they'll check it out. We thought that was savvy advertising. To hear that it was such a frustration trying to get a few people in there is a little disappointing.
Yeah, it was weird because, well, first of all, their main ones were, I think they put it in the main hall because it would attract more people that were just kind of standing around doing nothing. Because it was also, like, right next to a huge leisure area where people were able to sit and take photos and, like, grab a drink and sit down and relax. And they had a charging station in it. And it was really big. And so the stage was, like, in the center while it was off to the side. So it was easy for people to sit down and listen to it while they were relaxing. And then while people were hearing it throughout the hall, they would come and listen to it.
Huh.
Yeah, it was, I feel like they were trying to get as many people as they could. Because D23, I heard it was bigger than the previous two before, but it wasn't very big. Like, it's still growing. It's definitely still growing. But the prices are pretty crazy, and so not a lot of people want to pay that, I don't think.
Well, yeah, I mean, the price of their 3-day badges were as much as I paid for my Comic-Con badges. So it's a little cost prohibitive unless you are really, really into Disney, and I'm not that guy.
Yeah. See, that's why I went, because I'm huge into Disney, and I mean, I had a great time, but yeah, I definitely would suggest, like, if you aren't a huge Disney fan and you don't want to know what's coming up, like, you would rather wait for it to go online and know what's going up, don't go. Because really, it's just for the hardcore Disnerds.
That's...
Yes, I Disnerd.
No, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not trying to argue with you. It just seems to be... It seems to be a contradiction, considering their main panel did have, like, Chris Evans and Anthony Mackie and Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. You know, all these things that aren't Disney-centric. Yeah. And then they still have this convention that's only grabbing the major Disney files.
Yeah. It was really weird. I feel like they showed up because it was a Disney convention, and they didn't show up because they knew a lot of people were going to come by.
Well, they probably had contractual obligations. Yeah. I doubt any of them just said, you know what, I want to go to that thing that sounds halfway interesting.
Yeah. Like, I heard a lot of people, like, didn't even know, like, what D23 was. Like, the only day that sold out was Saturday. Mm-hmm. And that sold out maybe a couple days before the convention.
Yeah, I could believe that. I mean, I only just heard about D23 beginning about 6 years ago. But every time I dig in...
started was 6 years ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was the first one.
Every time I've dug into it and said, you know what, the kids would have a good time. Maybe I'll take them to it. $120 for the kids, huh? Maybe I'll just take them to Disneyland, you know?
Yeah, I know. It's cheaper to go to Disneyland at that point.
Yeah.
But if you get them through a cast member, you didn't hear this through me, but they can get tickets for $25 for each day.
I just had an aneurysm. Holy cow!
I know, right? Cutting that price in half.
No kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you mentioned sometimes when they had signings, things would tend to get packed. What kind of people were doing signings?
Well, it depended in each of the areas. I mean, they had some artists that would go into the Dream Store. They had Mary Poppins there. They had Compossible, the voice in Compossible, who were at actual booths that they had set up.
So are these a combination of, like, character actors and industry people? Are there any movie stars or?
Well, there were music stars. I know, like, the Disney Pop Kids or whatever, the ones that would play on Radio Disney, they were there. I don't really think they had, like, Chris Evans or Johnny Depp signing anywhere. I didn't hear of anything. I mean, like, I would have died to get Johnny Depp to sign me in some place. But you know.
Oh, I'm sure. You know, I'm trying to gauge this because it sounds like it does very well for Disney fans, and that's all power to them. But when I heard that, you know, that the Marvel presentation was going to be at this, I assumed they were going to have Chris Evans or Mackie do something. That's the kind of thing that me as a heavy Marvel fan would get me to put on my Juggernaut helmet and try and run through the door.
Yeah. Oh my God, there was a guy dressed as the Infinity Gauntlet.
How did that work?
Like, he was just a giant Infinity Gauntlet. Like, his face was one of the diamonds on the knuckles.
That sounds inconvenient.
It was, well, the thing was, it was just like a giant wall. So he'd walk and he had like I looked at it, like on the back he had like 2 handbars that he'd walk around with.
Oh my God.
I just remember I was sitting down like eating lunch and my friend's just like, oh look, there's an Infinity Gauntlet. And then I like was turning to see like the Comic-Con exclusive from a couple of years ago. But no, I turned and there's a giant Infinity, it's like 6 feet tall.
Anybody will run up and ask him to slap 5?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You knew he was probably tired of hearing that in about 20 minutes.
Yeah, right? Seriously. But yeah, I think it was weird because they held the masquerade, too, for, like, the costumes at noon on Friday.
Wow, that is super early for a convention.
Yeah, I thought it was super weird that it was so early on Friday. They had to be there for prejudging at, like, 8 o'clock in the morning, too.
Do they? I was about to compare it to regular conventions where most people aren't awake before 11 a.m., but then again, this is a whole different animal, so I should shut the hell up.
Yeah, well, the con floor, like, closed at 6.
Okay, it's about average.
Is like a usual convention.
Yeah.
But there's nothing to do afterwards. Like at regular, like, anime and comic book conventions, you can hang out outside, but no, they were like, okay, everyone out.
Okay, well, That just answered the question I was going to ask you about nightlife. So there is none.
They
shut the doors and they just kick you the hell around.
Yeah.
You know, go buy something at Downtown Disney. Have fun. Bye.
Yeah, you couldn't even go to Downtown Disney if you were in a costume, though, because Downtown Disney doesn't allow costumes.
They didn't have any special allowances for this weekend?
Mm-mm. I heard people were, still being kicked away.
And to think, if they held this just a little bit later, they could have folded them in with the Mickey Halloween treat stuff and everybody could have been walking around.
Yeah, well, they still don't allow them in Downtown Disney really for that either. Because, well, you're allowed to have it, but you can't take pictures with people.
That's ridiculous. That's part of the fun.
Yeah, like for Club Cosplay, when we had it at the House of Blues, all the security, like, lined up and they would talk to you. They're like, okay, well, we know you're going to House of Blues. I hope you have a wonderful time. You guys are more than welcome to wear these costumes, but just, you can't stop and take photos with anyone.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, they like warned us before we stepped onto the Downtown Disney like area.
Oh, God, that hits me right in the testicles. That's awful.
Yeah, no, it was pretty bad. It was like what? Like we're here for a costume event, like.
Yeah, utterly.
Yeah, I didn't understand, but.
Well, do you have any like funny or humorous stories you came away with from D23?
My dad wearing a wig was amazing. He's turning 60 this year. I give this man so much credit. Like, he was rocking the kilt, he was rocking the fur cape, he was rocking the fur boots, and the wig. And it was so funny when we were walking back to the car because we had parked in Disneyland parking because we have the premium pass, so we have free parking. So we're like, oh, let's park over there. Of course, we got like the very back of the lot. And so as we're walking down, I was like, Dad, you can take off your wig. We're like done here. He's like, no, I'm going to stick it out. I've worn this wig all day so far. I'm going to stick it out. And seriously, like 100 yards before the car, he was like, I can't do it anymore, and ripped off his wig. I was like, Dad, you were so close. He's like, got too hot.
Yeah, but now I've got my freedom.
Yeah, pretty much. And it was, everyone kept going up to him and asking him if he knew the line with Merida, where he was like pretending to be Merida, and he was like, oh, all I want to do is run through the glen and have the wind run through my hair and stuff. And he's like, I don't know it. They're like, you don't know, you're not him. And he like turned to me and my mom at the end of the day. He's like, okay, so I have to memorize this clip now for next time we watch it. So that was fun. Also, I think I got my mom addicted to cosplay.
Sweet.
Because she doesn't want to go to like she told me, she's like, I will only go to this convention and any other Disney convention because I don't want to go to one of your conventions where everyone's running around half naked, but I will go to D23 again. And then she's like, we have to be Cinderella and the Fairy Godmother next time.
There's parts of me that want to cheer and boo at that statement, like,
and I'm like,
both.
Mom, what have I done? Her costume took me like a solid week and a half to do it because I hand did over 2,000 sequins on it for one of the costumes.
Crap on a cracker, woman.
Yeah, I know. Like, I was staring at this thing and I was like, this would look so much better with sequins. And then by the end of it, I'm like, I freaking hate sequins. So that was really fun. I was like, oh dear God. Yeah, you know how much sparkle is going to be on the Fairy Godmother costume?
More than on RuPaul.
Yeah. Oh my God, they just did the Golden Girls, or they're doing it right now, the 30-hour like Golden Girl marathon. Where all of the stars are on it. I love RuPaul.
Well, it sounds like in summary, when it comes to D23, it's not really a place for the general anime and comic book convention crowd. You have to be a hardcore Disney fan to make it work.
Yeah, and little kids. It's not a place for... There were a bunch of little kids. I don't know how they were doing it because it's a lot of sitting and waiting in line.
Wow.
So, yeah, so I didn't know how, like, people were, like, bringing their kids, because me and my mom were looking at these kids and we're like, how are they just sitting here waiting in line? Like, they must be super good kids or something.
The more you tell me, the more I'm astonished that such a family-friendly company like Disney just seems to have no idea what to do with all ages at their convention.
Yeah, well, I mean, you definitely have to, like, go to see it for yourself. But yeah, it was a little weird. Like, I certainly wouldn't bring little kids to it because it's a lot of walking. First of all, it's like going to Disneyland and then waiting in line. And then, I mean, it is Disneyland, basically. Expensive food, waiting in line, and all that.
They'll still have rides. Just throw them on top of the usher and tell the man, run.
Seriously, that's what I was thinking. I was like, these kids, like, just... And there were kids running all over the place, too, and then there was, like, an R2-D2 running around, and they were chasing the R2-D2, and I was like, what is going on here?
That's probably the most family-friendly thing they did that weekend, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, it was definitely weird. It was more for, like, the collectors and for, like, the historians for Disney. There was definitely a lot of shopping. That's me and my mom's thing is shopping. So.
Yeah, you've thrown me sideways with that summary. I'm a little astonished, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool if they wanted to go see panels and see their favorite people, but a kid probably over 12 would probably be best.
Okay, and then mine will not be able to go for a few years yet then.
Well, it's every other year, so, you know.
Yeah, and hopefully by then at least one of them will have a job to help me out with this. Christ.
Yeah. Well, just get to know a cast member, and they'll get you some tickets for cheap.
Unfortunately, I think I do know somebody. You're gonna make me start hounding my friends list.
Oh my God! Well, they only go on sale like 6 months before for them, so they'll like know. Oh. But yeah, just start hounding your friends list in a year and a half.
Great. I gotta set a reminder
on
my
your
friends list.
Phone.
Yeah.
Put it in your calendar on Google.
Yeah, but you turned into a very busy person over this period because just 6 scant days later, you had to go back to Anaheim.
Oh, God, yeah, that was terrible. Oh, no, it was 2 weeks later, right? I think it was like a week and a half.
Week and a half, yes. You had to go right back to the exact same location, to the Anaheim Marriott, for Anime California version 2.0.
Oh, my God, it was so much better. But yeah, and before that, like, it was a month right after San Diego Comic-Con, which was 2 weeks right before Anime Expo, so I had no life. Like, for the whole summer, I was like, costume making.
Oh, I know, and you did even better than I did, because I took 2 solid weeks off to go from Anime Expo. I had 36 hours to clean my stuff and then repack it for Comic-Con. And by the time I got back, everyone just... They looked at me and just said, so what are you doing back here? Well, what do you mean? There's all this other stuff on the calendar. Okay, I need to get paid.
Yeah, I know. That was the hardest part with me because I was working every day that I was not at a convention. And so I'd work 3 days. I'd go to a convention for 3 days. I'd work 4 days. I'd go to a convention for 3 days. And it was like, I had no time to do anything. And then now I'm like, okay, taking a break. Like, I need time to breathe.
Just wish you had a giant Harley Quinn hammer just knock people out like, don't have time for this.
Pretty much. Your face goes here just like, yeah. Or hyenas. I could sick them on everyone. Go away.
Ooh, she went deep cut.
Right?
Now, first of all, I did not visit the original Anime California, but horror stories were told from last year.
Yeah. So I'm one of those cosplayers that everyone heard about. I was the one in one of the Kill la Kill cosplays, the Senketsu, but I was Satsuki instead of Ryoku. It was in one episode where they swapped costumes, you know.
Yeah,
Oh.
but you were one of the people that the internet heard so much about in Anime California that was harassed by, was it hotel staff or was it people who weren't associated with the con?
It was hotel staff. Yeah, I heard about the people that weren't associated with the con, which I thought was bogus, even more so than mine. The president of security yelled at me, like,
over
for the
what?
hotel. He screamed at me because I wasn't complying, and he said that he could get me kicked out of the hotel in a second if he wanted to, and all this stuff. And then later on, he was, he, like, told them that he wanted my badge and for me to be kicked off the property and that I had no rights. Like, every other person in the hotel had more rights than me to be there. And I was like, what? I'm paying you guys. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, my argument would suddenly be, then you owe me some money, fool.
Yeah, no, that's what I told him. I was like, I'm paying for the hotel and the convention, which I was told that there was no dress code for. Which that's the one thing, like, at that point, I wasn't very body confident. So, like, this whole thing, like, shattered me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was just completely heartbroken after the con, and, like, I didn't even go out for, like, 2 weeks after the con 2 years ago, or last year.
No,
and it was pretty terrible. It was crazy.
That's horrible. And all this went down at the Anaheim Hyatt.
Yeah, the Hyatt, which was not the one by the convention center. It was the one by Disneyland.
Oh, really? Because I've always pictured the Anaheim Hyatt as this gigantic glass building that's about a mile south of the park.
Yeah, no, it's not the one that's right next to the convention center.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But for this year, they had a new contract. They left the Hyatt. They moved to the Anaheim Marriott, which is the one that's just on the south end of Disneyland, or the south end of California Adventure, I should say. And it's right next to the convention center.
Yeah, it's right next to the convention center. It's not that close to the park, really. I mean, it kind of is.
It's not close to the entrance. It's close to the ass end where all the big fences are, and you're not supposed to see the backstage. I understand that.
True.
You know, I when I was walking around WonderCon, I was pointing at Steve. Look, Cars Land.
From the back, I know, and it's all like the back part of the.
I know all these flat Cadillac murals and stuff. Yeah, but now, did the staff at the Marriott treat you guys better this year?
Oh my god, it was fantastic. Like,
really?
It wasn't the same con. It was not Anime California. Like, I would say it's probably going to be the new Anime Los Angeles.
Really?
Yeah, like, that's what I'm going to rival it to in the next couple of years, because it was such a success.
Okay, so it was more or less a fan and social con than a trade show.
Yes. Definitely a fan and social con. The panels were cool. They had the voice of the original Full Metal Alchemist, Edward Elric, which was cool.
Japanese or English?
I think it was English, but I didn't meet him. I wasn't in the panel. But yeah, it was really cool. Their masquerade, the costumes were amazing.
Oh.
Like, I was looking at the caliber of costumes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god. Like, I was like, I will never be that good. Like, that's how crazy it was. Like, the caliber of cosplay and that masquerade were crazy.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it was a good con. You got to hang out with your friends. The whole hotel was open for it. They weren't blocking it off to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
The lobby was cool. They had the food trucks out there like they do at WonderCon. Like, there wasn't as many, obviously, because there wasn't as many people, but the food trucks parked in their normal spots. The food court was open on the other hotel, so that's where we ate most of the time. And
that always drives me insane when I hear people complaining, like, you know, what was it? People, when they talk about the Anime Expo, just go, Los Angeles is such a better place to hold this. And I look at the line of food trucks outside the Anaheim Convention Center, this gigantic plaza, and all these people milling around just going, that's some bull.
Yeah, I feel like the Anaheim Convention Center, I've been to both, and I've had mixed experiences with both.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. I think, like, the Anaheim Convention Center is more in my heart. Like, I love it. It's not two buildings. It's not, Like,
Yeah.
it's 3 stories, so, I mean, it does have 2 stories for panels. It's not like it's just 2 stories and 1 story for panels.
I do think Anaheim is more logistically friendly.
Yeah, I know. And plus, it's got the 2 hotels right there. It's got the
Yeah.
food court. It's got room for food trucks. It's got the fountain and different photo shoot spots.
Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely true.
Yeah, I feel like definitely it's going to take over. It's going to become big because after what happened this year, like, it was crazy. Like, I was seeing people, like, I was seeing the staff that was, like, coming up to me last year that the one guy who, like, right after I got screamed at by the president, like, came up to me and he brought me to con ops and he was talking to me and stuff. And then the guy who was running it doesn't run it anymore, and Allison runs it now, and she did a wonderful job, like, absolutely wonderful job. And she was out there talking with people, which was the coolest part. Like, usually you don't know who's running the con, and everyone's like, oh, Allison, hey, what's up? It was cool because she was running around shoeless the whole time. I was like,
she's so busy she forgot something.
Well, it's not that she forgot something. It's like, your feet hurt. But yeah, it was definitely like a 360. Like, it's not the same con.
So organization was much better this year, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, and then we paid for the room is maybe like $10, $20 more a night, but the hotel rooms were so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm more of a Marriott person myself. I'll always be biased towards Marriott versus Hilton.
Okay.
But, like, last year the hotel rooms were kind of gross, too, so I wasn't, like, too happy about that. But I was just, like, thankful because the 2 guys in my room, I had a photographer friend, and then I had one of my man friends sleeping in the room, and they both run hot, and the air conditioners went down to 40, so...
Holy cow!
Yeah, they were pretty stoked, but I was like, I hate you guys. Come here and warm me up.
Yeah, you wake up one morning and there's a polar bear staring at you. Hey.
Pretty much. That's how big these guys are. I'm just like, okay, guys. Well, whose bed is it gonna be tonight? I choose you.
That's one of those moments where every time I hear something like that, I just kind of stare at the ring of my finger and say, "Go over there."
Pretty much. But yeah, it also got nicknamed Coca-Cola Con. I don't know if you heard about that.
No.
But Coca-Cola had a booth, like the Coke, like you drink it Coke, and they were giving out free Coca-Cola. Like,
Frack,
it was
why?
I don't know. It was like the aluminum little bottles. And I seriously, like, I never want to have another Coke in my life. I had maybe, like, 30 Cokes that weekend. And I, like, try not to drink soda as much as possible.
Yeah.
And so I'm just like, but it's free and drinks and cold. And, yeah, but seriously, it was great marketing on their part because everyone's taking photos with it. Everyone's sharing it. Everyone's like, dude, Coke's so cool for coming to this con. Like, they went through, they had bins, like huge bins filled with ice water and Cokes, and they were running around the con and with them, and they were just, the things were on wheels, so they were just pushing them, and the guys had like giant like industrial gloves going into that cold ice water and passing them out, and it was really,
wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a first. I've never heard that one.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was like, all right.
Yeah, what part of the Marriott did Anime California use?
They used, it was weird because if you go into like the actual lobby, you just make a right and you go all the way till you can't go, and then there's a whole bunch of like a whole bunch of rooms and stuff, and they had a big area, and I guess it's like for tinier conventions while bigger conventions going on, but it was pretty cool. But it was really weird because there was like a gospel convention going on at the same time.
How does that always happen for anime conventions?
But see,
always.
Like, they were really cool about it. They were like, oh, praise Jesus. But it was like, cool, praise Jesus, not like you're going to hell. Like, we had people like coming up to us from the convention taking photos with us.
Oh, that's sweet. That's a first.
Yeah, I had people, and then like all the hotel staff was really nice, and they'd compliment everyone's costume, which I've never had that happen before. Like, I've had like maybe 1 or 2, but it was like everyone's like, oh my god, your costume's so cool, which I thought was really cool too. Like, everyone at the convention was so supportive of one another. Like, at Anime Expo, people are supportive, but not every single person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, there was maybe like 2 or 3 people that were causing some trouble with the cosplay, like, but they were taken care of immediately.
Oh, that's because Anime Expo, and I talked about this with somebody I went with. It seems like Anime Expo isn't really getting fans anymore. They're getting the party crowd.
Yeah. Which, I mean, that was Anime California too, but they obviously knew their spot, and that was after 6 or 7 when they would start doing their thing.
But what you're describing isn't necessarily the party crowd. You're describing the social crowd. You're describing the people who have similar fandoms but are getting together because maybe the convention isn't big, but they're entertaining themselves in more constructive ways.
Yeah.
You know, Anime Expo brought a bunch of people. There were people on the Anime Expo fan Facebook page talking about when they were partying and how they were getting smashed and, you know, whether or not they wanted to share drugs and stuff. This doesn't sound like that.
Oh, yeah. No, well, for Anime Expo too, just like PMX, it's a lot of younger kids partying too with serious alcohol and serious drugs, and I try to stay away from that as much as possible because I mean, like, I'm 20, I maybe have a drink occasionally, I don't get super smashed and I don't do that stuff, but it was really weird. I tried to stay away from the super hardcore partiers, but you definitely do want to have like a good time kind of thing.
Yeah. It all depends on your definition of good time. It sounds like Anime California is more my speed because I am that person that considers a party a bunch of people sitting around laughing, eating pizza, and just telling good stories and stuff. To me, that the social situation is a party.
Oh, yeah. On day 0, we were up until 1 in the morning in the swap meet area playing Exploding Kittens.
For those who don't know, that's a card game. She wasn't setting off dynamite in cats' butts, I swear to God.
What? Actually, they were scratching uranium at one point.
What?
There's a card that says, your cat scratched uranium.
Oh, thank goodness. Because all of a sudden this sounds like battle bots for cats. We set them loose in a room and whichever one scratched uranium, he lost.
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, it was really cool. And then obviously I was the first one to get out on the game. And then the game was supposed to last 15 minutes. It ended up lasting like an hour and a half. Like, I got off I got out 15 minutes into the game and I'm just like, I hate all of you. I had class. I had to get up for class at 6:30 in the morning.
Oh.
And so I was just like, okay. This is cool.
Yeah, I hate everybody too.
Yeah.
Now, what was the quality of cosplay out there? You described the masquerade, but how was it in general walking around?
Well, I mean, there's going to be the great cosplayers. There's going to be the beginning cosplayers. There's going to be the cosplayers that you don't want to say anything mean about.
Oh, of course. I mean, Anime Expo brings out some quality people, but mostly it's a bunch of people trying to show themselves off to somebody else, you know?
Yes, it's more of the girls trying to look sexy, and you don't really know what their fandom is.
Yeah, Fanime tends to bring them out in large groups. Anime Los Angeles, they tend to get very experimentative and try out new things since it's not a huge con. Where does Anime California fit on this scale?
Probably around Anime Los Angeles, where people are testing out their cosplays for the first times after they finish it, and then they're going to bring them to a bigger con. It was definitely cool because you saw like a whole bunch of different techniques being used, and it was good because there was enough room where you could stand and chat, except for when I was in Charizard. That one was hard because first of all, I had like 5-foot wings like outside, and then I had a big ass tail. Sorry, I had a big booty tail that I could twerk in, but it was another 4 feet. So I was just like a walking wall thing. And I was just like, okay. I was trying to back myself into a corner most of the times. I'm lucky I had like a handler with me that was just like, okay, stop smacking people with your tail.
All right. It does sound like an interesting people watching scenario though.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
What about Dealers Hall? Was there one for Anime California?
Okay, so the dealer hall was amazing compared to last year. It was definitely one of those cons where you're going for figures. They had amazing figures, super cheap.
Okay, I had to process that for a moment because you said they were going for figures and like they were picking up girls and just dragging them off. What happened?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what happened at Fanime one time, but I'm not going to go into that right now. That was interesting.
Ooh, that sounds like a story, but yeah, we'll leave that sit for now.
I'll tell you after this, but
okay.
Yeah, it was definitely for figures and plushes. It was not really there was no manga really. They had like 2 rows of artists, but last year they had maybe like 12 booths in their dealer hall.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah.
So it was more like a closet.
Oh, it was bad. It was bad. It could probably fit into a house. How big it was.
Wow.
A small, like, 1-bedroom apartment.
Right.
And it was all, like, secondhand stuff last time.
Oh, even better.
Yeah, it was super funky. Like, I was really confused by it. It took you like 5 minutes to sweep before, and I was like, I'm done. And it was super overpriced last year too, because the booth spots were expensive and not everyone paid for them, so they bumped up the price even more. Yeah, it was really weird.
So they succeeded this year and actually...
They had a cotton candy booth set up.
Oh, no kidding. How was it, just like a little kiosk, or was it like an actual full booth?
It was a huge booth. Like, it was probably one of the bigger booths there, and they like were just like $5-8 for these giant like flower things of cotton candy, and they were amazing, and you could smell it throughout the dealer hall, so you would like walk towards it, and we're like, we hate you. And it was right next to the Coke booth too, so you're just like, okay, I'm gonna grab a Coke thing, go get my sugar fix over there.
It's almost surprising nobody broke the sound barrier with as much sugar as they're handing out.
Oh my god, yeah, it was like sugar upon sugar upon sugar. I was like, what the heck? Like, and then there was a Starbucks right across the opening for the dealer hall. And I was like, oh lord, someone's gonna get... I'm surprised that there was only one ambulance called though.
What was that for?
I don't know. I didn't see the person. I'm guessing it was probably dehydration.
Oh,
because
okay.
it was actually pretty warm in there. It wasn't like unbearably hot, but it was warm.
Was the whole convention inside, like registration and everything? Were there any lines that were held outside?
The registration line went outside on Friday, I saw. And the line was, I guess something had gone wrong with registration. I had got mine Thursday night, like a smart person, and it took me like 10 minutes to get through the line. And I was just chilling with some friends in the line, so that was super easy. But, yeah, like, I guess it took like 2 hours to get a badge at one point. Like, it was crazy. And then the line was so long, it went outside. And then I just felt bad because I was seeing all these people in like huge cloaks and huge pieces of armor, and I'm just like, oh, you're gonna melt.
So there's a little bit of an organizational problem when it came to registration. Was there just not enough people processing, or was there...
Yeah, they only had 6 people processing.
Oh.
No, 3 people processing, I'm pretty sure, because they had 3 things set up, 2 people at each, but only one computer at each station.
Ooh, and what was the overall attendance here? Was it like a couple thousand people, or...
I heard it broke 5,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it was up there in like attendance. I was expecting like a lot less people because of what happened last year. The people were like, people like me, I was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a second chance. If it's like something I'm never gonna go to again, oh well. The ticket was like $25 or something. I bought it right afterwards.
Okay.
Oh well. And I was like, I'm gonna give it a chance, and I'm glad I did. I'm super glad I did.
All right. Was there a good list of panels for the show?
Yeah, it was a mixture between like fan panels and then just like, you know, the regular panels, and then they had obviously the rave, the dance. There was a lot of like dancing classes, which was weird, like, so you don't think you can dance. There was another like line. It was pretty cool. Like, it was fun like walking past the door, because I can't dance. I'm the most awkward person, and then with my costumes on, I'm not gonna... Okay, someone's gonna die at that point. But yeah, it was definitely cool, like walking by and seeing these people running around in circles, twirling, like.
Well, by your description, it sounds like there was almost no industry presence. It was all made to get nerds socializing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's probably what it was, actually, because I'm one of those people that only go for the panels that my friends run because I go to support them. And so I have my fairy tale guild, I have my body positivity peeps, I have my line dancing people. I will not go to karaoke though. I refuse.
Why? Do you sing, or do you attempt to sing?
I don't sing at all. Like when I used to be a server, and I told the people that like were like, oh, do you sing for birthdays? I was like, I will bring you out a chocolate souffle, but my birthday present to you is me not singing. My boss would hate me for it, but I'm like, you don't want to hear me sing. So he put up with it.
So it's okay. I'm half black. I can't sing or dance. I'm completely screwed.
Well then.
Well, let's call a spade while I can.
Yeah, I was about to say, what is you can't serenade your wife or anything? Like.
No, you know, that's the half of me that is black. Serenading is not necessary. I please in other ways.
Oh God, Jeremy, I didn't want to hear that.
No one ever does.
Except for your wife, obviously.
Yeah, it helps.
Just rack up those man points while you stand.
Were there... Now, I'm going to imagine with a convention this small, there weren't any special exclusives to be had. It was just, whatever general items you're looking for is what you had a chance to find.
Yeah, pretty much. It was the same people that go to, like, every convention, The ones that have the huge walls of figures, and then the tiny ones that have the little plushes, and then it had, like, the specialty people that make their own clothing for people. Mm-hmm. It was really good. There was a leather working booth that was really cool that made keychains and, like, eye patches and a whole bunch of different stuff. That one was
okay. Cool. Okay, that's a little outside the norm.
Yeah, it was one thing that stood out to me out of everything, I think.
Okay, how was the hotel overall? You said the staff was good. Was were the rooms clean? Was the pool all right?
I heard the pool. I didn't go into the pool because my friends wanted to go at 6 a.m. every day.
Why?
I don't know why. It was a weird thing that I just was like, I'm not gonna go at 6 a.m. every day. But I heard it was heavily chlorinated.
Huh.
So it was a little too janky for them. Like, they'd get in and they were like, oh, my eyes burn. And
maybe they just knew there were anime fans coming and they decided to clean this shit up now.
Right? Seriously, they're like, kill all the weeb germs. Yeah, and then okay, so I've never seen elevators do this, but you would go up to this little pin pad and you would put the floor that you're on. So we were on 4th floor, so you go up and you put in a 4, and then it would tell you which elevator to go wait at.
Yeah, I stayed there at WonderCon, and that was the first time I encountered something second time I encountered something like that. My first hotel at Comic-Con in 2014 did that. And I appreciate it because the wait time, regardless of how many people was there, was pretty frackin' minimal.
Yeah, there was no lines at the elevator at all. So I thought that was really cool. Yeah,
it is a little unnerving though to punch a button and then say, the computer tells you which elevator is coming. You get inside and realize there's no button. So if something happens, you're just like, please make it to the floor. Please make it to the floor. Please make it to the floor.
Seriously. And then you're just like, haha, suckers.
I made it. Good luck.
Seriously. And I've been going to Comic-Con longer than you. Haha. I didn't know that. I was like, all right.
Okay, you just kicked me right in the stones. That's wonderful.
I'm sorry. Also, I've gone every day, including preview night. Multiple times.
Preview night is always the one I can't seem to pick up on my own. I always need extra help on that one. They run out just before I get my 4 days.
Seriously, I know.
It's the weirdest thing.
I've been lucky for the past 2 years to get preview night, knock on wood. But,
damn.
Yeah. So I'm pretty happy. Last year, I actually didn't get anything except for like a Thursday night or something. But my friend got a pro badge for me, so I was like, yeah.
Oh, so you cheated.
Oh, yeah, I was with you guys. You guys. We were in that group chat.
Yep.
That was fun.
So, yeah, Anthony's never going to live that down.
No, he's not. Premature registration. I don't know what to do. Guys, help me out.
I know.
How many tickets did you select? 1? I can't go back. Oh, no.
You son of a bitch. Should have dragged him down with the rest of us.
Seriously.
So it sounds like Anime California is something you'd wholeheartedly want to go to again.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Just like Anime California or Anime Los Angeles, it's going to hold a spot in my heart for they're really good. They're probably one of my favorite cons to go to.
Yeah, ALA, though, is going to have some logistical challenges. New building, new time of the month, Very different location. Like I said, I'm married. There are certain things that don't scare me anymore. They just don't scare me. But, it sounds like you had a better time than I did. I went out, while Anime California was going on, I went out to Central Coast Comic-Con.
Yeah, I heard that wasn't very good. So, fill me in on that.
God. The registration process was a little slow. They only opened... God, you have to get to the Ventura County Fairgrounds, first of all, which is, right on the coast. And... You know how I am at conventions. I arrive super early because I want to poke around a little bit. But because it's the fairgrounds, everything's gated off. Oh, so God. I ended up sitting at the beach for an hour and a half in the shade, just kind of playing with my phone and passing time because there are very few restaurants nearby and none of them are open for breakfast. They're all lunch and dinner places.
Ugh.
Yeah, so I was starving by the time they finally opened their doors.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not their fault. I just didn't know what I was walking into.
Yeah.
So when they finally opened 1 out of 3 kiosks to process registration, there were only 2 windows processing a line of what looked like 30 people. You know, not an awful wait, but definitely kind of misguessed what was going on there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the doors pretty much opened at 10. They were very prompt about it at the very least.
Yeah.
You know, I got the badge. There was no waiting time. I went right into the first of 2 hangars where the exhibits were going on. You know, the dealer stuff.
Yeah. I'm kind of comparing it to the Orange County Fairgrounds because that's the only fairgrounds I know besides the Pomona ones. And
yeah. Well, I say hangars because I found out middle of the day that the Ventura County Fairgrounds used to be a small airport.
Oh, what? That's cool.
Yeah. So that explained a couple things because as walking through it, one thing became very apparent. These rooms have no air conditioning.
Ew.
And once you leave the buildings, there is no real place to duck out of the sun. And you've seen my head, you know, at the best, the top of my head could be described as thinning. So
Peach fuzz.
Yes. So I was bombarded with more sunlight than I thought I was going to get all weekend. And unfortunately, as the day went on and more people showed up, the interior of the dealers' halls became more and more humid and stank. You know, it's not against C4. It's just it's comic book fans. You know, there is an odor you suddenly get used to. So you step outside to get some air, and then you realize you're out in the sun. You want to go back inside, but you have no air inside. So you're in this funny catch-22 situation that's hard to overcome. Now, I did see some interesting stuff. For a small con, it had some interesting guests like Doug Jones. You know, the master of motion capture who was in like the Planet of the Apes films, and he was a Silver Surfer. God, what's his name? Richard Hatch from Battlestar Galactica was sitting there.
Oh, that's cool.
You know, they brought in a couple of the co-stars of Supernatural. Not the main guys, the ones who play like Dean and his brother and stuff, but
Dean and Sam.
Yeah, neither of them unfortunately, but some of the ancillary actors were there in booths doing signings and stuff, and everybody seemed really.
Was the old guy there that goes idiots?
I don't know the show myself, but there was a guy that looked like he had some gray facial hair going on there. Oh yeah,
it was probably Billy. He's so funny.
Okay, you just told me 10 times more than I've ever known about Supernatural. But they did bring.
I binged on it like 2 months ago.
They did bring the car from the show, and for like $5 or $10, you could take a picture with this thing.
I did see that. It's pretty mad that I didn't get to take a photo with it. But I go to enough car shows where I can find one.
Yeah. For a smaller exhibit hall, they were pretty careful about picking booths. There wasn't a whole lot of unusual stuff to be found, but there was a variance of items for anybody looking for stuff. They even had one booth that was all anime figurines.
Oh, that's cool. Because there's always that one person that goes to a comic book convention for anime stuff.
Yeah.
And you always wonder why.
It always occurs, and I don't have a good explanation. That was the one booth where I almost bought something, but it was just a matter of, you know, I had C4, and then this coming weekend I've got, or no, was it this? Yeah, this weekend I got Strategicon. Next weekend I got Long Beach Comic Con, and then staring, you know,
so
down the line staring at me is fracking Kamikaze.
Yeah. I'm only going to go to one day of Kamikaze. I wasn't too impressed of it last year. It was my first year going, and I wasn't impressed with it. So I was like, eh.
I had fun with it the last couple of years, but maybe that's because maybe it's just a difference in our experiences.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't think it had a lot to offer for the price.
Okay.
Since people get press badges and don't have to pay for them. I felt like the $75 ticket for 3 days, and the dealer hall was like a quarter of the way filled, and the panels weren't as amazing as I thought they were going to be. All that stuff. I don't know.
Okay. Well, yeah, C4 is, yeah, back to C4. I mean, their staff were very courteous, though. They were always curious if I was sitting around if I needed something.
Oh, that's good.
You know, the location was probably the most hurtful between the lack of sun coverage, and for a beachside area, there was an unusual amount of flies and bugs buzzing around me.
That happens at beaches. That does happen at beaches. I live right next to a beach, so.
Yeah. The other thing that was kind of interesting was how fast people were coming in and out of the convention. Really? It seemed like for the majority, I didn't see too many faces multiple times. I saw a few cosplayers multiple times. I got some interesting photos of, you know, I almost palled around with this young pair of cosplayers playing the Black Widow and Captain America. because of a combination of running into him 5 times and just because, you know, I took some photos, and every time I ran into a new Avenger, I dragged it back to him because I knew where to find him and just said, do you want to take more pictures? And it's like, yeah, of course.
There you go.
But there wasn't a wide variance of cosplayers. The ratio of cosplay is probably very similar to San Diego Comic-Con, just on a very, very small scale.
Yeah, San Diego Comic-Con was weird with the cosplayers this year. Like,
yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen it like that low on cosplayers ever. Like, it was weird.
Yeah, I know what you mean. As a people watcher, it was disappointing. Wasn't the right word. I just wasn't as busy as I thought I would be.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's because people are understanding that it's super hard to walk around. Like, that's how I was. I'd wear cosplay I'd be out of it by 3 o'clock in the afternoon because it was just so hard to walk around in. I was like, I don't want to be in a corset. I don't want to be in this hot hallway. I don't want to... all that stuff.
Well, early in the morning, while it was still quiet at about 10:30, I wandered over to the blood truck they had there and donated a pint. You know, I hate needles, but it was something to do, and it's I don't want to say civic duty. It just felt like the right thing to do since I had time on my hands and it was right there. Yeah.
I used to donate blood, and then I got a concussion because I fainted, and I took out a nurse as I smashed my head on concrete. And then they sent me home driving. So I was like, I don't think I'm ever going to do that again.
That's just your cover story. You don't want to admit that you gave her like a hooligan-style headbutt and just took her out.
Well, I felt bad because it was like this 60-year-old little woman. And I was in the hospital at the time. And so, like, I took this girl out. And she was bad. She was fuming. Like...
That's awesome.
I didn't mean to faint on you. Like, you guys didn't give me any food, and I was waiting in line for 2 hours. Like,
that was awesome.
Yeah, no, but seriously, like, I, like, wasn't expecting it, and then all of a sudden I just took out this woman, and she wanted nothing to do with me afterwards, and I was like, all right. She's like, go drive home. Like, I was like, all right.
Oh, that's awesome.
I have a concussion, but all right.
You know, I will give C4 credit. They weren't a big con, but they at least tried to entertain kids, too. They brought in a couple of inflatable bounce houses, and they had laser tag for, like, $2 a turn.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So they gave it a good shot. I didn't visit any panels because the panel list, I only had one day, so I wasn't sure what to focus on. And the panels, like I said, this is an old airport, so it was this big classroom-style room, which was big enough to hold a decent-sized panel, but again, no air conditioning. And unfortunately, with the lack of sun coverage, I was around mid-afternoon. I could feel myself start to get drained by the amount of sun I was taking in. So I was afraid if I sat still too long, I wasn't going to get up again.
Yeah. Okay. I get you. Yeah. Was there a breeze at least? Because it was by the beach, or no?
It was intermittent, and unfortunately, the breeze stopped at about 11 a.m. and it picked up again around 4 p.m. It was one of those situations.
So it was like at the hottest time, there was none.
Yeah, and it was about 80 degrees by the beach, which under normal circumstances, not bad. But because of the humidity right next to the ocean, was pretty frackin' awful.
Oh, God, that sounds terrible. It's like, seriously, it's cold on weekends where there's not a convention. And when there's a convention, it's just like, oh, yeah, let's go 90 degrees today.
I know, and this was during a heat wave in Southern California where in the valley it was expected to be like 100 degrees. So I'm staring at this just going, okay, I get to go to the ocean for Saturday. I get out there, it's like, it's much cooler, but all of a sudden my face is sticky for no reason.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate, like, when you're just instantly sticky after something.
Yeah.
Don't say anything.
And the other thing that was kind of rough on me, at least personally, trying to do media, was the fact that the convention did not actually shut its doors till about 7 o'clock. That's a good time for a smaller con. However, maybe because of the smaller nature of the con, or maybe because it's one of those regional conventions, it served almost exclusively the people of Ventura because they're the only ones who generally know about it. Mm-hmm. The place really started to empty out about 4:30.
Wow.
Weird. They actually had a live band playing on an exterior stage, and there was almost no one out there. And while the band was playing, I poked my head into the exhibit hall to see how things were going, and nobody was shutting down everything, but it was very quiet inside.
That's weird. That's well, I know it's getting bigger because I know a lot of my friends are going now. Like, it was a toss-up for me between Anime California and C4, and I wasn't gonna go to PAX because you know, PAX I can't get into right now, but.
I'd like to go to PAX, but that would take me a few times to get up there.
Yeah, same here. I'm like, I can't go right now. I have too many cons that I want to go to in a year where I can't have just all these like super far away, out of state ones.
Yeah. And although I didn't have the best time, and I'm not going to sit here and badmouth the convention because half of the issues I had, the weather, the lack of sun coverage, and just this malaise of the public is not their fault. They actually put on a pretty good show for a budget and a smaller con.
Mm-hmm.
I was relatively impressed. Is just the weather worked against them, and again, the people going to it were not heavy. I guess the best way to put it was they're not heavy socializers. They came looking to see if they could find products or signatures. Once they got them, it seemed like they left for the most part.
Okay, so kind of like D23, where they came for their stuff, then they left.
Pretty much.
Okay.
On the bright side, though, they did have a couple food trucks. They had a local place called Dan the Pizza Man bring out like pizza by the slice. They even had some carny-style food, which was not unbelievably priced. I got like a chicken sandwich and a bottle of water for $7.50, I think.
What? That's crazy. I went to like Submarina at Anime California, and I like paid like $30 for like 2 footlongs and 2 drinks and chips, and I was like, what?
Yeah, food was oddly evenly priced for this convention, even though one of them obviously was a stand that had been installed there. So I was actually pretty happy with that. Although the only unfortunate thing was after donating blood, the people in the truck told me, okay, make your next meal rather robust. And then I'm staring at those trucks going, okay, I'm going to get in my car for lunch and go to Dairy Queen. I was going to be sure that I knew I needed calories, so I was going to get them.
Yeah. And obviously Dairy Queen, you're going to get them.
Oh, yeah. What, $6? You got like a chicken sandwich and fries and a soda, and for another $3 you got a Frosty. Yeah, I was set for the afternoon.
What are they? They're Blizzards? Not Frosties?
Thank you. Yeah, I had a Rolo Blizzard.
Thank you very much.
Okay, all right. Food Nazi,
my
fine.
Midnight snack every time is like a large chocolate Frosty with a large fry.
Yeah, after I had my grilled chicken sandwich, I was feeling better and everything, but I really needed a Rolo Frosty at that moment, so I bought a small.
Oh, that sounds so good.
It was pretty damn good, I had to admit. So, if it wasn't for the fact that most of my cosplay friends are either regional to Central California or closer to Orange, I would invite more people to go to C4 because I think it's a good day trip. I really do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it is also one of those things where because of its current size, a day is about all you need to currently explore it. Maybe they'll grow and that will change, but that's all you need at the moment.
Was it Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
It was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They actually put on a long show for a smaller con, and power to them to have that much money, frankly.
Right. That's budgeting. It's really good budgeting.
Yeah, and I was, like I said, suitably impressed with the organization, the convention on the whole. The public just wasn't much fun.
Yeah. Which, I mean, they can't do anything about that, really.
Exactly. The
con... gets bigger, then obviously more people are going to come. More people who are more fun are going to come by and do all that fun stuff.
The only thing I wonder, though, is I'm not too familiar with Ventura, and I don't know too many places for Ventura and Oxnard to hold a large con.
Don't ask me. I'm an OC kid.
Okay. So, yeah, I would take a few people out there for a day trip. I just wouldn't plan to have a hotel or anything. Because of the fairgrounds, the nearest hotel was something I wasn't familiar with. It looked to be about a half to a 3/4 mile walk. And if you want a chain hotel, the nearest Marriott is like 1.5 miles down the freeway.
Oh, God. See, that's when you get an Uber, because those things are fantastic.
Oh, I wasn't denigrating it, but at the same time, when they gave me the invite to come out, I was checking to see if I wanted to get a hotel room, because it's always convenient to buy a case of water and, home base your hotel room.
Oh, yeah. That's what we do all the time.
That just wasn't possible here.
Yeah.
So maybe that hurt it as well, because there's very little possibility for people to spend multiple days unless they're locals.
I don't know. Well, I mean, it's a small con. It's still starting off, so it'll work out its logistics soon enough. It's
a good con. The only thing it has to do is find a way to engage its people while they're there.
Yeah. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Did they have a contest or anything?
They did have a masquerade at 7, but I was starting to notice the pink all over my skull, including under my eyes and across my nose. So I cut out at about 5:30, unfortunately. I wanted to stick around because there were a few people in pretty nifty costumes starting to congregate at about 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
You could see who was into the costume contest, but I could feel it in my head, and I had to sleep off part of Sunday, frankly, ahead of a recording of my own show, just to make sure I had the energy to make it to work.
Jeez, that's crazy.
So, and that's unusual for me. You've met me. When conventions are going, I don't stop moving.
Oh, no. Okay. I'm 20 years old, and you have more spry than me.
Great. That makes it sound like I'm chasing kids off my lawn all the time with my cane.
Get off my lawn, you young whippersnappers.
But, unfortunately, I'd like to laugh off your description, but it's unfortunately true. You know, in the early morning, people are generally waking up staring at me already fully dressed, showered, shaved, you know, kind of putting on a hat, loading up my camera, and just saying, what's taking you so long?
Seriously, Jeremy, when I see your posts, and I'm waking up like 4 hours later, and I'm seeing posts like 3 hours ago, Jeremy Wilson, already at the con, guys. I'm like, God dang it. I'm like, let me sleep. How are you up?
All right. I think I've taken enough of your time, and I really want to thank you. We at MSP didn't have anybody at D23 or Anime California. It's important to find out what's going on out there, especially finding out that Anime California rebounded in such a big, bad way.
Oh, yeah. Amazing. Definitely check that out next year.
All right. Well, thank you very much for stopping by. Is there any place on the internet they can find you, any fan pages or anything?
Facebook.com/MayYouSeeCostumes. And Tumblr, I think my name's the purest one. I don't even know.
Okay, no comment. I'm just going to get myself in trouble.
Okay, yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, that's where all my artistic photography goes. So, yeah.
Should we tell them that you do artistic stuff?
Yeah, if you want, I do artistic nude photography, so
yeah.
That's always cool. Check it out. I do some crazy stuff. I look like paintings most of the time, so that's cool.
No, Macy is awesome and one of the more confident people I know lately, and she's talkative, engaging, and she's willing to try out a lot of things at least once. A lot of things that won't get her in trouble or in a VD anyway. So.
Okay, well, no, see, there's some people that want to do guerrilla-style artistic nudes now, and I'm like, I can't do that. Like, I don't want a record.
What's guerrilla style? I imagine that's not swinging from trees.
No, you know, like guerrilla-style warfare where you would hide and then you would pop out somewhere and attack the army?
Yes.
Well, it's like that. You're hiding, and then when all the security guards are, you flash your clothes off and you take photos. Like, this one photographer wants me to, or he's done it where he's done it on the Disney Symphony Hall.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, good for you. I can't do that. Like, I'm not that, first of all, confident enough.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, good for him. Like, that's crazy, but definitely not my kind of thing.
Yeah, I really don't feel like risking a misdemeanor for your art. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, it would be cool because it's my art too, but I'm like, I don't know about that. Like,
yeah.
Nude bungee jumping, that's my next thing, I think.
Wow. Okay. Power to you. You can... I, as your temporary host here, do a weekly podcast on comic books and entertainment called The Rolling 20s. You can find it on iTunes and on Stitcher. You can like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at The Rolling 20s. My next convention appearance will be at Strategicon, then the following weekend at Long Beach Comic-Con, and then I'm going to Kamikaze during Halloween weekend. Thank you very much. Hopefully Anthony will not kill me for my little coup d'etat here. Have a great weekend. Thank you very much for coming by, Macy, and filling us in.
Oh, no problem. It was really fun. I love talking to you about stuff.
Awesome. I'm still relevant.
Yay. I just like hounding you about your wife most of the time.
Yeah, most people like hounding me about her because she's taller than me.
I've never met her. I need to meet this woman.
Yeah. It's like I tell people. So, a lot of people ask me, what's it like marrying a taller woman? And all I do is just look them right in the eyes and say, I like to climb.
Oh my God.
I let people fill in whatever blanks they want from here.
Oh my God, you're fantastic.
You know, and then they ask me, so what happens, you know, she's an Irish redhead, right? Yeah. What happens when she gets mad? I don't know. She does a redhead smash. I wake up a few hours later. That's all I know. You know, what's a redhead smash? I told you. She does it. I wake up. I have no clue what this move entails. I just know it's effective.
Redhead smash is very effective.
Jeremy is super weak. All right.
Jeremy has fleas.
All right. Have a great time. I look forward to meeting you guys. Fear no lines. Take care, everybody.
Bye.